Welcome back, Gen Xers, and everyone curious about what made Gen X the awesome generation we are. Summer is a great time to connect with friends and family, but we were eager to also connect with our fantastic audience. You! Did you ever fall down from your bike and get scrapes and bruises? I know I did, and I wore those scars with pride. In today's episode, we will talk about the adrenaline-inducing, nerve-wracking sport of BMX. Those who dared to jump ramps and attempt tricks on your bikes know what I mean. Before the bright colors, before the wild decals, before the half-pipe heroics of the 1980s, there was just dirt. It all started back in the 70s, mostly out in Southern California. Kids were mesmerized by motocross, watching high-flying riders, motorcycles hitting huge jumps, railing berms. We were blown away. We didn't have motorcycles, we had Schwinn Stingrays. We started imitating them. We found empty lots, carved out dirt tracks. We pretended we were motocross stars. It was raw, it was simple, the birth of something special. We were pioneers without knowing it. We took single-speed bikes not meant for this abuse and just sent it. We built sketchy wooden ramps, dug jumps with borrowed shovels, spent Saturdays chasing the most air, or racing makeshift tracks for fastest time. These weren't organized events, just kids pushing limits. We learned bike control, balance, and handling speed on rough terrain, all while trying to keep bikes from falling apart. Every busted chain, every bent rim was a lesson. The movement got a name: bicycle motocross, or BMX. Companies started to notice. Regular bikes couldn't handle it, so designers made new bikes. Stronger frames, knobby tires, motorcycle-style handlebars. It was a game changer. Equipment made for the sport let us push bigger. By the end of the 70s, the seeds were planted. What started in California became a subculture. Its own bikes, its own style, its own heroes. The first organized races were happening, and the word spread beyond the West Coast. In the Midwest, we saw pictures in magazines and started building our own tracks. The stage was set for the 80s. This backyard hobby would explode into a global phenomenon. The 80s were coming. When the calendar flipped to 1980, it was like someone hit a switch. BMX went from being a cool niche hobby to an absolute cultural tidal wave. Suddenly, it wasn't just a few dedicated kids at the local dirt track, it was everyone. The bikes themselves underwent a massive evolution. Companies like Mongoose Diamondback, Redline, weren't just making bikes, they were creating dreams. Every kid in the neighborhood was saving up their paper route money. It was your identity, your ticket to freedom. Before the internet, magazines were our Bible. BMX Action, BMX Plus. We'd stare at the photos for hours, studying riders' form and gear. These magazines connected us to a wider world of BMX. Then came the movies. When E.T. hit theaters in 1982, that chase scene with Elliot's Kuwahara BMX bike became an iconic moment. Suddenly every kid wanted to fly. This boom wasn't just about racing anymore. A whole new discipline was emerging: freestyle. Guys invented tricks, wheelies, rock walks, ramps. Freestyle opened up creativity. You didn't need a perfectly groomed track. A patch of pavement would do. This accessibility brought in new kids. From my perspective in Oklahoma, the change was incredible. One summer, a dozen of us, the next summer, hundreds. Every cul-de-sac had a wooden ramp. We'd spend all day learning tricks, trying to one-up each other. The community grew fast. We formed crews, each with territories and styles. It gave us purpose, identity, and belonging, all centered around a simple two-wheeled machine. It was our network before social media, identity and independence on two wheels. It taught us purpose, identity, pride, and community. The 1980s were the golden age for BMX competition, a time when the sport went from local meetups to massive televised spectacles. The American Bicycle Association and the National Bicycle League were the two big sanctioning bodies. The ABA Grands, held every Thanksgiving weekend in Oklahoma City, was the Super Bowl of BMX racing. Thousands of riders from all over the country and even the world would descend on this one spot. They battled it out for the coveted #1 plate. The atmosphere was electric. The sound of 40 gates dropping at once, the smell of hot dogs and gear oil, the sight of a sea of colorful jerseys, sensory overload, massive vendor areas where companies showed prototypes. You could meet the pro riders, get autographs, and see prototype bikes. For a kid from the Midwest, going to an event like the Grands was like visiting another planet. It was where you saw the trends unfold in real time. The tracks became more challenging with bigger jumps, steeper starting hills, and more technical rhythm sections, pushing riding to new heights every year. While racing stayed the core, freestyle competitions exploded. American Freestyle Association events, flatland, ramps, and half-pipes. Events like King of the Skate Parks were where progression happened at an insane pace. We went from basic aerials to 540s, tail whips, and wild combos. These competitions pushed the boundaries and inspired everyone back home to try something new. The media coverage of these events brought BMX into living rooms across America. Shows like Nick Rocks and ESPN highlighted BMX. Seeing BMX on TV alongside mainstream sports was huge validation. It showed BMX wasn't just kids playing, it was a legitimate athletic endeavor requiring skill, courage, and dedication. The 80s cemented BMX as the decade it came into its own. It captured the public's imagination. Every sport has its heroes, and in the 80s, BMX had a pantheon of gods. These were the riders whose pictures we taped to our bedroom walls. They set the standards for style, speed, and innovation. In the world of racing, Stompin' Stu Thompson, Greg Hill, dominant title after title, smooth and effortless. Professionals trained hard, they could make a living riding. On freestyle, Bob Harrow, father of freestyle, inventor of flatland vocabulary, R.L. Osborne, showmanship and technical wizardry, BMX action trick team, touring shows that inspired thousands. Vert riders went higher and farther as the decade progressed. Mike Rooftop Escamilla, pushing height and style. Ron Wilkerson, pushing vert limits. Dennis McCoy, half-pipe master with complex runs. These riders weren't just athletes. They were style icons who influenced how we dressed and the music we listened to. Eddie Fiola, powerful vert style. Martin Aparijo, mind-bending flatland complexity. They were pioneers who built modern BMX. Their influence remains today. They were on magazine covers and ads on posters. BMX became a platform for individual expression. From a new subculture of bike riding and freestyle, a new breed of heroes was born: bike riding, risk-takers, and trend breeders. Their influence lives in modern BMX. For those of us who grew up in the 80s, BMX was so much more than just a sport or a hobby. It was the entire framework of our youth. It was our social network before social media ever existed. Your BMX bike was your key to independence. It could take you anywhere your legs could pedal, to a friend's house across town, to the convenience store for a Slurpee, to that secret dirt jump spot hidden in the woods. BMX instilled a powerful do-it-yourself ethic in us. If you wanted a ramp, you and your friends scrounged wood and built it yourselves. If your bike broke, you didn't take it to a shop. You got out the wrenches and figured it out. This process taught us problem-solving, persistence, and teamwork. We learned basic engineering by making jumps and mechanics by taking apart hubs. That figure-it-out-yourself mentality carried into other parts of our lives. The culture was a tribe with its own language and fashion. Vans, Vision streetwear, mouthguards. We had heroes plastered on walls. It didn't matter where you were. Seeing another kid on a BMX created instant connection. It transcended school cliques. Gave a place to belong to kids not into team sports. It was a community built on respect for skill, creativity, and dedication. This experience helped shape Generation X, resourceful, independent, and a little anti-establishment. BMX taught us to see potential. Stairs, loading docks, empty pools became playgrounds. That mindset, seeing potential where others don't, is a defining characteristic forged on a 20-inch bike. A thought process that was imprinted in Gen X. I'll figure this out and make it better. The culture was more than bikes. It was DIY, zines, crews. That tribe mentality became a template for action sports. The explosion of BMX in the 1980s sent shockwaves through the entire cycling world. Its influence can still be seen everywhere you look today. One of the most significant impacts was on bike technology and design. Before BMX, bikes were for road racing or casual cruising. BMX demanded frames that could withstand huge impacts, components strong yet lightweight, nimble geometry. This focus on durability trickled up and helped birth the mountain bike. Many early mountain bike pioneers came from a BMX background. They took an aggressive, go-anywhere attitude of BMX and applied it to trails. The development of suspension, stronger frames, and disc brakes evolved from the same principles. In a way, the mountain bike was the grown-up version of the BMX bike for many of us. Beyond hardware, BMX changed cycling culture. It introduced freestyle and action sports to the mainstream. That ethos is the direct ancestor of modern action sports culture. The idea of modifying and personalizing your bike, swapping parts and colors, came from BMX. The 80s scene injected youthful energy into cycling that still ripples through disciplines. That ripple effect is still shaping how we ride today. BMX helped create the template for how action sports are organized. Athlete-driven progression, video parts, community. From skateboarding and snowboarding to FMX, BMX influence is everywhere. Event staging, community contests, and athlete progression models echo BMX roots. You can see 80s BMX DNA in urban cycling. Fixed gear freestyle, alley cat races using the city as playground. Riders use stairs, rails, and architecture creatively. The same spirit we cultivated as kids. Workshops, parts swapping, and customization remain central. The 80s BMX scene didn't just create a new sport, it injected adrenaline into cycling, and that ripple effect still shapes how we ride today. So, what happened to BMX? Did it just fade away like so many other 80s fads? The answer is a definitive no. In many ways, the sport is stronger and more incredible than ever. The level of riding today is something we could have only dreamed of back then. Riders are doing things on street, in parks, and on mega ramps that are simply mind-blowing. The progression has continued exponentially, passed down through generations. The sport has branched into specialized disciplines. Olympic-level racers and park riders train year-round. BMX is elite sport and spectacle. The internet and social media took the place of magazines, letting riders share clips and inspire each other instantly. Neighborhood ramps gave way to professionally built public skate parks, better facilities and equipment for kids today. While casual neighborhood crews may be less common, kids who get into the sport progress faster than ever. The legacy of 80s BMX is alive and well. It lives on in the Olympics. BMX racing and freestyle are now official events. It lives on in the X Games and countless pro contests. But most importantly, it lives on in local skate parks, backyard ramps, and dirt trails where kids still discover the joy of a 20-inch bike. The flame lit in those dirt lots in the 70s and fanned into a bonfire in the 80s is still burning brightly. It may look different, but the heart and soul of BMX, creativity, independence, resilience, is timeless. Did you fall off your bike attempting jumps or tricks? Which was your favorite bike brand? Mongoose, Haro, Kawahara, Schwinn, or Skyway? Did you juice up your bike with gadgets and parts? Which bike parts brands that you remember from the 80s are still in business today? Let us know. We want to hear from you. Here at our channel, you are greatly appreciated. If you liked this video, it would be great if you would give us a like, and it would make our day if you'd subscribe. Remember, we belong to the greatest generation ever. Keep being awesome, stay healthy, and God bless.